Hey, Kage back again. And today we're gonna talk about Metal Gear Solid Master Collection. Mainly because from what I'm getting so far is that the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection is just a basic port, which in one sense, why are people surprised? Just look at all the other ones like Red Dead Redemption and everything. They just port the games instead of do a remaster or enhance them in any ways. It's usually just the same port that was on the other console, so you're able to play it on the newer generational consoles. They usually don't even do as much as even increase the performance of FPS. Now, from what I'm gathering so far, is that the Metal Gear Solid ones so far are sticking to the original PS1 version's low resolution and frame rate, and a bit of a giddy retro thrill seeing it runs as originally intended, like back in the day. But it is a missed opportunity to not take things even further and provide a way to play these games that's more in line with modern sensibilities. For example, increasing performance, doing a little bit of enhancements where you can. Obviously, if you're sticking to the formula of how they used to be in the PS1, there is not much enhancements you can do, just some. And mainly you could increase performance so that the performances are not stuck for where they were. So they're not stuck on, let's say, 30 FPS as they used to be. Increase it to like 60 FPS. It's still at least something instead of a just straight up port, but well, this is all we get so far. And what else is with Metal Gear 2, Sons of Liberty, and Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. They are based on the HD collection editions that were released for PS3 and Xbox 360 back in 2012. Now based, but in truth, Konami has not made an effort to hide this fact. And to be fair, it did announce them as such with an admittedly slim banner on the collection promotional material. The menus for both games just flat out have HD edition plastered on them, with the 2012 Konami still there as well. And honestly, I'm not even surprised, because this is the cheapest thing they can do to completely just get the game out there with no real investment or anything. Like, if they fully wanted, they could have made a remaster or any type of enhancement they wanted to, or reboot the series in itself if they really wanted to. But they don't, because I'm pretty sure they have done the calculations and decided that we can just port the game as is, and people of the franchises, that people that love the franchise will buy them regardless. Now, personally, I'm not saying you should use emulators or anything, but honestly, point being is, why would I spend money on just a ported game when I might as well just launch up an emulator and play it on an emulator? Or if I by any chance still have the older consoles that they were on, to play that on those consoles. Because so far there's nothing been no enhancements or anything, especially with Switch. These versions run at 720p, and the Switch version is also seemingly capped at 30 FPS, despite the original HD releases running at 60 FPS. Considering the Switch is a more powerful console than the two consoles that previously held this pair of games, it's disappointing to say the least that the frames have been halved. Which, in my opinion, it doesn't make sense. You have a more powerful console capable of more things, and you limit it because why not? I don't get why Switch versions are limited like that. But in this article they also asked about the PS5 and Xbox Series X Plus, the newly announced PS4 release of Konami clarified that the games will be targeting the same resolution 720p and frame rate of the initial HD releases. Given that Switch isn't running them at 60 FPS, we'll have to see and wait how things fare on other platforms. And they also had an additional information that Konami, prior to publication, the company has since been in touch to clarify that in fact, with the exception of Switch's handheld mode, other platforms will target 60 FPS. Then again, why would Switch be only limited to 30 FPS when everyone else is 60 FPS? And you can't tell me because the games are demanding, because that's a load of bullshit right there. They used to run on consoles that were worse than Switch currently is. So that's out of the question. What's good about this collection edition is that there is a bonus content to it. The collection is jam-packed full of great title extras such as the original MSX version of Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2, as well as the NES version of the first game and Snake's Revenge. Now that is good, that they are so. At least something extra besides the blatant port and nothing else. Now there's a person just saying that they don't get this new wave of not understanding what these companies are doing. They're putting the games on modern consoles, that's it, just like Red Dead. If they wanted to actually do full-on remakes, they would pour in the money, and I'm sure they've done the math by now and realized they don't have to, which is essentially what I said earlier. So yeah, honestly speaking, they could do so much more with these franchises. Like, they could, like I said, reboot if they really wanted to, but not even that, make some enhancements. And honestly, I still don't get why, of all things, Switch is limited to 30 FPS when it clearly can handle much more demanding games than Metal Gear. But yeah, they're limiting it for some unknown reason. And to look into some of the comments of people, it's like crazy how terrible games look on new systems. Why anyone would pay for these is beyond me. The remake looks great, these looks horrible. It is disappointing. I wanted an easy way to replay MSG1 for years now. Why couldn't they just put a little bit of effort or money into it? And somebody answered, because greed, and because there is literally nothing stopping them from doing so. Morals and ethics mean nothing to these companies, and we are nothing but wallets to them. If we didn't buy this kind of stuff, the companies would probably put more effort into it. And honestly, he is correct. And he adds more to the comment that regardless, I think gaming is big enough that the laws should start to be introduced into how these products are priced and sold. Why that hasn't already happened yet is beyond me. I don't personally agree really with the whole law thing, with the government being too involved, because that's going to be way regulated, way more than it is now. But yeah, sometimes these pricings of games is ridiculous when you look at just a base port of a really old game costing like $50. It doesn't make much sense when you can buy new games, completely new games for $50. Like, for example, Grand Blue Rising. It's Grand Blue versus Rising, I think the full name. That game costs $49.99, and it's a completely new game with a shitload of content. As to compare something like Red Dead port with no effort, and it costs the same. It is really ridiculous in that sense. And with that comes the question of why don't they make more effort? Well, it's simple. They don't have to. Like the comment said, if we would stop buying it, they would stop making it. Or they would make it in a different way with actual enhancements or whatever. Or actual remakes. But or remasters, whatever the word I was looking for. But they won't stop. It's the same as with the movie license games. People are still buying, even though they know they are full well gonna be bad games at release, and potentially the whole game life that they have will be bad games. And honestly, I can't blame the people. It's their own opinion, their own money they're wasting. If they wanna buy them, buy them. Just saying, if you want change to happen within the gaming industry, it's dependent on the customer base. If they have customers, they're continuing to make this. They don't have it, they're gonna do something else instead. So if you stop buying these barely effort ports that you could just launch an emulator off on your goddamn phone if you'd like to, then it's never gonna change. And that's most likely the case. The companies are getting greedier, and it's rare to see any companies honestly be anything but greedy. I recently posted a video about an indie company that removed microtransactions from them, and then stems the question of, it's an indie company that doesn't have really funding or anything, and yet they still listen to their player base and remove the microtransactions after the game's development. They used the microtransactions to fund the development along the way, and after they were done with the development, they removed it. Compensate the players that bought stuff, and all the cosmetics from the Battle Pass and so on would be earnable in-game. Now that's a really good move from them. And then I wonder, why can an indie game who doesn't have a substantial funding can do this, and yet the bigger games with billions in their coffers can't make a single game without microtransactions in them, even though it's a full-on priced $80 game? Simple answer is greed. They just want more and more and more. And what's best about this Master Collection is it's not really received well on Steam. It's currently mixed review of 52% out of 408 users. And mostly people are saying it just runs poorly. It's just like an ISO on an emulator that is poorly optimized. And honestly, then you might as well play it on an emulator, because then you can actually optimize the settings and you can still run it decently well or perfectly, depending on the optimizations. Another comment is saying this is a PS1 game, it runs terribly, emulating it using DuckStation is way better. Like I said, it's not that I per se support emulation or not support it. I'm neutral on that. It's just saying is, if these companies want us to spend money on these games, why should we consider spending money to get it on the newer consoles when they run worse than you can just emulate it for free or play it on the consoles previously if you still have them around? And what I also heard about it is that they removed Kojima's name from credits, but I'm not sure if that is true. I just heard it as a rumor that they removed his name from the credits in the Master Collection. But honestly, this whole situation with Metal Gear being like this is kind of sad. They should have put at least some sort of an effort instead of just basically porting it. But am I surprised about that? Obviously not. It's just look around what's happening with all the other ports. It's like all they do is just port the game with how it was in the previous consoles, and then ask you to buy it for some outrageous price compared to what it would actually be worth. It's ridiculous. So if you want all the content offered, for example, on PC for the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1, you would need 60 euros by my price. We use euros. So then begs the question, why would I buy some outdated games that have nothing to them, that currently run worse than emulated ones? And emulation for these games are damn good because they've had a lot of time to do that. Why would I consider getting this for 60 euros instead of buying a new game for 60 euros or using that investment somewhere else? Honestly, this is ridiculous that they still expect people to buy these games. But it all comes back down to the player base being even dumber for always buying this. It's the same with sports games. It's the same game every year, no changes, no nothing. Sometimes even removed features from them. People still keep buying. And the same thing is with these master collections or whatever they deem to call them, or remasters or whatever, which most cases nowadays is just a blatant port and that's it. So that being that, I don't think this is going to improve anytime soon. And honestly, I don't think Konami even would want to do anything for it. Honestly, I can't remember anything good recently from Konami that they did. Well, I suppose the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were nice, but I wouldn't really say that there's like a new game. It's more like a, again, port of the older ones, but at least that one is not that widely available, and I didn't buy it. I had it on PS Plus, so I just took advantage of that. I wouldn't buy the game otherwise. Like I said, emulation exists, and these type of games you can emulate even on your phone. You don't necessarily need an expensive PC for that or anything. It's just kind of saddening in the sense that these companies are doing this, but point being is, it's not going to change unless the consumer base changes. And even though I can say that I will not buy them, which I don't anyways, there's thousands upon thousands of people that do. And because there are those thousands upon thousands of people that do, they will still keep doing this constantly. Same things with the sports games. They're not going to change because there's plenty of people that are going to buy them regardless of however monetized they are or how bad they are. It's just what fans do. And that will be all for me today. I'll see you guys next time.